Session 72 covers SOSL, Salesforce Object Search Language. SOSL is the platform's full-text search query language, and it solves a specific problem: searching across multiple objects simultaneously without knowing which one contains the data you're looking for. The fundamental distinction between SOQL and SOSL is the backing system. SOQL queries the database index, structured, precise, one object at a time. SOSL queries the full-text search index, broader, wildcard-capable, multi-object. Neither replaces the other. They solve different problems. The first thing to internalize about SOSL is the return type. SOQL returns list and LT, SObject and GT. SOSL returns list and LT, list and LT, SObject and GT, a list of lists. Each inner list corresponds to one object in the returning clause. Index 0 is the first object, index 1 is the second, and so on. This is the most common source of SOSL bugs in code reviews. The basic SOSL syntax has three parts. Find with the search term in single quotes. IN with the search group. This determines which fields are scanned. And returning with a comma-separated list of objects and their field selections. The simplest form: find Acme in all fields returning account, ID, name, contact, ID, first name, last name. The find clause supports two wildcards. The asterisk matches 0 or more characters. ACM matches Acme, Acme Technologies. The question mark matches exactly one character. ACE matches Acme, but not Acme. Both wildcards only work at the end of a search term. A leading wildcard like force is invalid SOSL. If you need to match the end of a term, use SOQLs like operator with a leading %. There are 4 search groups. All fields search as text, phone, email, and URL fields, the widest coverage. Name fields searches only name fields and is the fastest option when you're looking for a specific record name. Email fields and phone fields search those specific field types only. When no search group is specified, all fields is the default. The returning clause accepts standard SOQL-style clauses per object. You can include a field selection, a where clause to filter within the search results, an order by, and a limit. Without a limit, each object in returning defaults to 200 records. The total maximum across all objects is 2,000 records per SOSL query. The where clause in returning filters the search results. It does not affect what the search index scans. SOSL finds matching records first. The where then filters that result set. This is different from SOQL, where filters the database scan itself. Both can be useful together. SOSL supports Boolean operators inside the search term. Acme or Salesforce returns records matching either term. Acme and Technologies returns records matching both. Quoted phrases like cloud computing match the exact phrase in that order. The not operator excludes terms. These Boolean expressions go inside the single quotes of the find clause. When the search term comes from user input, use dynamic SOSL via search.query rather than a static literal in square brackets. Dynamic SOSL requires explicit string construction, and that string must be sanitized. Always call string.escape single quotes on the user-provided term before interpolating it into the SOSL string. Never pass raw user input directly into a dynamic SOSL query. The typical dynamic SOSL pattern: validate that the search term is at least 2 characters, escape it with escape single quotes, append the wildcard for type-ahead behavior, then call search.query with the constructed string. The result is the same list of list SObject structure as a static SOSL, accessed by index in exactly the same way. Omitting the returning clause is legal but almost never appropriate in production code. Without returning, SOSL returns the ID and name from all searchable objects in the org, potentially returning thousands of records from objects you never intended to query. Always specify returning in production code with explicit object and field lists. SOSL queries count toward the 100 SOQL and SOSL queries per transaction limit. The maximum records returned per SOSL query is 2,000 total, with a default of 200 per object in the returning clause. Those rows also count toward the 50,000 row query limit. Check limits.getQueries and limits.getQueryRows if you're building SOSL inside trigger or batch contexts where limit pressure is high. The most common source of SOSL test failures is the search index. In test methods, SOSL does not use the real search index. It returns empty results. To fix this, Call test.setFixedSearchResults with the list of record IDs you want the SOSL to return. This must be called before the SOSL executes. Forgetting this means your test passes with 0 assertions and a SOSL that returns nothing, and you won't discover it until a production search feature breaks. Use SOSL when you don't know which object a search term will be found in. You're building a search or type ahead feature. You need full text or wildcard style matching across multiple text fields, or you need results from multiple objects in a single user action. Use SOQL when you know exactly which object you're querying. You're filtering by specific field values like status, date range, or lookup. You need aggregate functions like count or SUM. You're querying related records via relationship traversal, or you need precise control over which records are returned. The canonical SOSL use case is a global search controller, a class that takes a user's search input and returns matching records across account, contact, and opportunity for display in a search results component. The pattern: validate length, escape input, append wildcard, call search.query, index into results for each object, and return a map with consistent string keys for the caller to access. In the global search handler, the map approach is cleaner than returning the raw list of lists. The caller gets result map.get accounts instead of needing to know that accounts are at index 0. This decouples the caller from the order of objects in the returning clause, a maintenance improvement that matters when the query is updated later. The most common SOSL mistakes in code review: forgetting to cast the inner list from subject to the specific type before accessing fields, missing test.setFixedSearchResults in test methods, omitting returning and returning everything, attempting a leading wildcard, and not validating that the search term is at least 2 characters before executing the query. Each of these is a bug that will surface in production. The full article at realsyllabus.com includes the complete global search handler, the test method pattern with set fixed search results, the comparison table of SOSL versus SOQL, and all the syntax patterns from this session. Next session is Anonymous Apex: how to execute Apex code without creating a permanent class for debugging, data fixes, and one-off operations.